Hello Walker County, I'm Larry Brooks. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Smart Growth Walker County. Today I'm going to be joined by Walker County Commissioner Bebe Heiskell and also Walker County Sheriff Steve Wilson. They're going to be talking about the new satellite sheriff's office that's going to be open in Rossville. So we hope that this will be an informative segment, and if you have questions, there are going to be numbers that you'll be able to call at the end of this episode. So sit back, we hope that you enjoy this. Thank you so much. Hello, thank you for joining us. Today I have Commissioner Bebe Heiskell and also Sheriff Steve Wilson with me. We're going to be talking a little bit about the new Rossville Satellite Sheriff's Office. I know a lot of conversation has actually been garnered by this, and so we appreciate you two coming in and sitting with us and sharing some information with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a project that we have talked about, the Commissioner and I have talked about for we were sitting here thinking probably 8 or 10 years it goes back that far. We hope that and look for this office to serve the south part of the Rossville area, the Fairview community, all the way into Flintstone and even parts of Lookout Mountain, especially the northern end of Lookout Mountain. We call it the North Satellite Station is what we're going to be calling it. It's actually located with the Rossville mailing address. The physical address is 63 Hannah Way, but it's located, most people would know it as at the corner of Wilson Road and Happy Valley Road, just down from Stone Creek Elementary School. It's located in the Ridgeland Business Park. I believe that's the correct name of it.
Yes, sir.
And we've worked with Chris Carlton of Carlton Properties to acquire the office space. It's 800 square feet of office space that he has donated to the county rent-free. We will be assuming the utilities of it, which will be electricity and a little bit of water. But we hope, this is certainly just a baby steps with this office is the way I look at it, that we've acquired the space now. We can use it for a lot of different things initially, and some people have asked me, are we going to be able to staff it initially? And I've said no, we can't do that initially as far as having a clerical person there to assist with, but future goals would certainly be to start out small there, maybe 1 day a week to start with, and then maybe even 2 days a week if the need arises for accident reports, incident reports, filing reports, just a lot of different things that we could do there to make it easier on the people that live in those areas that I referenced earlier. But initially it will be an office where the deputies can go and do the different things that they need to do on a daily basis.
Now this is going to be very similar to what you already have in Villanau, is that correct?
That's correct. In Villanau, when the commissioner built the community center there back about 5 or 6 years ago, we incorporated a small office into the community center in Villanau. This will be much larger than that facility that we have in Villanau, but this will be our second satellite office in the county, one in the very far eastern part of the county in Villanau. For those that don't know where Villanau is, some people, I find out that people don't know where Villanau, or they don't know where Lookout Mountain is.
Sure, yeah.
Well, it's 50 miles across our county.
Yeah.
That's why you have to have satellites around.
445 square miles, isn't it?
Well, yeah, I started to say, I'm sure that a lot of communities, they may not be accustomed to having satellite offices, but because of the sheer size of Walker County, it really poses a real need for something like that.
And I don't want people to, in their mind, have an image of this being like a New York substation in New York City where you walk in, or even Chattanooga, where you walk in and it's a full service office. That's the furthest thing right now. This will be an office space where officers can meet and do their reports. They can meet individuals there, to have face-to-face meetings with them that can't meet at their homes or don't want to meet at their homes. We can interview suspects there, suspects in crimes. We can interview victims of crimes there. But most importantly, it gives us a north office for command posts for a large, God forbid, an incident that would happen in the north end of the county that would require a command post. The one thing that I'm really tickled about is the close proximity to Ridgeland High School. And in the event we had some type of casualty or mass call out during school session, we have a command post now, or the availability of an office command post right there at Ridgeland and also Chattanooga Valley Middle School in very close proximity. But lastly, just the mere presence. I've heard throughout several of the meetings that I've had with the Wilson Road Neighborhood Group that fans out from the city limits of Rossville to the state line over to the Chattanooga Valley area. We believe, and I concur with some of those people that have organized and have met in those meetings, is that the presence of a law enforcement office in that area is worth a lot. Mm-hmm. And it certainly is. It's got to be a deterrent.
And it's also good coverage for the Ridgeland Business Park. There's a lot of businesses there.
There's a lot of businesses in that park, and it gives them the availability of having law enforcement there, in and out, coming and going. But just for that community, just to be able to have the signage, and for someone that may be thinking of a crime, committing a crime, and knowing that we have a more of a presence there and have an office there, I feel like it's a deterrent and will be a deterrent to crime issues in that part of the county.
Well, let's address a little bit of that. Are we seeing sort of an uptick in crimes? I know that we hear, it seems like every day something going on in Chattanooga, maybe gang related or just other violent crimes. Are we seeing any of that spilling over into the Rossville community?
What we have seen in the Rossville community, to include the unincorporated area specifically that I know about, and I think so in the city also, is that we have seen some of the gang members from Chattanooga come into our area and into Catoosa County, kind of to sleep, to hide out, to lay low, if you will, and not so much to commit their crimes, but just to be here to kind of evade the police in Chattanooga. And then they go back across into Chattanooga and the crimes are committed there. Mm-hmm. That's not as bad as the crimes being committed, but we don't want that either. We want to run, if we have people that are hanging out here with whose intentions are no good, we certainly want to identify those people and to run them back to where they came from.
It seems like it would just be a very sort of a next step for them to maybe start perpetrating things here if we just leave them. It would be,
and I hope that we are trying to be proactive in this sense of gang activity moving across the state line. I have met with the apartment managers of two large apartment complexes in the Rossville area, had a very good positive meeting with the management, talking about gangs and crimes and people coming into their apartment complexes who are not on leases, and helping us identify those people so that we can get a handle on that. The other thing that we've started to doing is for the last several months now is working with Chattanooga's gang unit to receive weekly and almost daily intel information about crimes that are happening in Chattanooga that are gang related. And we see it coming back and forth across the state line. Chief Fletcher was down here 6 weeks ago on a weekday night going to an apartment in the Rossville area looking for a suspect in a shooting in Chattanooga. The same thing happened to us this last week. We had a crime in the Dewberry community. The suspect went back over into Chattanooga. We started throwing out everything on Facebook and the news media, and it allowed him to turn himself in. He chose to turn himself in, but he was a validated gang member in Chattanooga. Mm-hmm. So the need and the time has come for, I think, a satellite office on this part of the county. approximately 65% of our county population lives north of Chickamauga.
Sure.
And with more population, the propensity of crime, more crime's going to happen. So this is a start. This is just a start. We want to dream big. We don't want to have a lot of expectations to start with, but if people will just be patient with us and allow us to maybe take baby steps and to grow small, then in the future we're hoping that it will be a bigger service for the county.
Well, obviously, I mean, it seems that, it has taken some time. I know that you guys, we were talking earlier about trying to maybe see this satellite office come online several years ago. Commissioner, talk to us a little bit about the limitations that we had in trying to make that happen up there on the
Well,
north
the
end.
tax commissioner's office was a pretty bad place. It was an old house, and it was pretty dilapidated. And we started looking to tear it down and build another one. We looked at some other sites, and they were not appropriate. We couldn't tear it down and build it back without closing that office down. And it was busier at that time than the Lafayette office, and it didn't work out so well. So we had planned to build a sheriff's satellite office in that complex when we built it. And it never took place because of location. We looked for other locations. We didn't really have much success in finding what we needed. So we ended up buying an old bank building and turning it into the tax office. It's served very well for that, but there was no room there for the satellite office. And so the very idea of us getting a place this easy to get and this at no cost was wonderful. But let me say that our law enforcement officers are at more risk than they've ever been in my lifetime.
Definitely.
As a matter of fact, there's a funeral going on right this minute for an officer in Dodge County, Eastman, Georgia, that was shot and killed last weekend.
It's- what's happening is-
31 years old.
It's terrible.
What's happening is just awful.
Yes.
It's nationwide, and I know you're wearing your
Yes.
Vest.
your
We-
bulletproof vest every time you
All of
walk
our,
out the door.
all of our uniformed deputies, I'm proud to say, under my administration we've been able to acquire vests for all of these deputies, and I'm proud of that.
But it seems to have become a sport for some.
Yeah.
And so you thank your law enforcement officers for risking their lives every day, every time you walk out the door now. And other emergency personnel as well. I mean,
Well, we all work together, all of, and with September the 11th falling on Sunday this year in 2016, there's going to be many events happening that Sunday during church services. We have an afternoon service at the amphitheater in Catoosa County for both counties. Then that evening at Rock Spring at the Ag Center
I
is
think it's
the
at 5:30.
5:30,
Yes.
City on Our Knees, sponsored by several churches around the Lafayette area. So, it's a time for the community to come together to recognize all of the emergency service personnel, fire, EMS, and law enforcement, police, sheriff's deputies, state officers, because without them, you can imagine what our country would be in.
I don't like to be gloom and doom, but I never dreamed they'd hit Chattanooga.
Oh, I know it.
We've been
and-
fortunate, but
And,
don't take anything for granted because you don't know what might happen tomorrow.
that military facility, I think, was 6 miles from the state line. And I told that in the speech that I gave right after that happened, that tragedy happened within 6 miles of our county. And who would think about that? But again, we're very thankful for all the people. There's many people that's been involved in getting the satellite office up and running. Deputy Bruce Coker has put a lot of time into it. My maintenance employee, Mr. Reuben Lands. Inmates, we've used inmate labor to remodel it. I've spent very little money on it. It's all been with inmate labor. Thanks to the community of the Wilson Road neighborhood community. As we said, we had been talking about this for years, but this is one of the things. Crime was the #1 issue when I met with them back in March. And so we wanted to address that, and we think that this is a start by having a presence in that community. And,
Let me mention this just because we want to make sure that this is clear to the community. When we talk about the satellite office, I don't want anyone to think that because it may not be staffed that we don't have, or you don't have patrol units that are there in the area, because I mean that's something that you guys have.
Yeah,
done
we've
very
still
great.
we
You
still
gotta live up
have
there,
we
don't you?
still have patrol in
Yes.
that area, and I've said this at the meetings. The commissioner allocated me the funds to add two people or 4 people total for that district back, not this past budget, but the budget before. And we have worked diligently to try to find personnel, qualified personnel, to add officers to that district, and we have not been able to do that.
They're not as excited as they used to be because
No.
it's getting to be a dangerous thing to do.
So we were budgeted for three deputies per shift in that district, and which would be a great benefit to us, and we're still working toward that. If we can just find someone that wants to come to work for us, that's qualified, that meets our standards, which are pretty high.
Well, I hate to, but we're out of time. Is there maybe a phone number that you would like to maybe communicate to viewers? Maybe they have questions regarding this.
Well, I would like to say that hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks we will have a ribbon cutting. The chamber will do a ribbon cutting for us, and we'll have a grand opening. And at that time, the commissioner and I will be inviting people in the communities of Rossville, Flintstone, Fairview, Rossville, Lookout Mountain to come to the ribbon cutting, to the open house. It's not a lot to look at. It's a small office, but it's a step in the right direction.
It's a real asset to the
It's
neighborhood.
an asset to the neighborhood there. And so just be on the lookout for that. We'll announce a date here, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks, probably the 1st of September. And we want to encourage as many people as can to come out and celebrate with us on the opening of this new office.
And Sheriff, what's that phone number again?
The phone number, the phone number to the office is 706-638-1909. That's the main office in Lafayette. The emergency number, if you ever need an emergency call, is 706-375-7810. And as always, call 911 if you feel you're in an emergency situation.
Yes, sir.
And we also want to thank Chris Carlton for the investment that he's made in the
Yes.
Walker County community and for his generosity to our sheriff's
We
department.
certainly can't go without saying that.
Well, thank you too. We appreciate you coming and sharing this information with us. I know the citizens are going to be glad to just be able to see a stronger presence. I would assume up there. And so again, thank you both for the hard work that have gone into this. And Walker County, thank you so much for joining us. And we look forward to bringing you our next segment. Thank you so much.